hierarchy of laws, understanding the context of words when reading, words and their legal meanings, right? A short overview of the Jamaica Constitution, as well as the Independence Act and maybe 2 other acts that we're not gonna be reading those like we're reading the Bible, but just browsing through to pick some very important aspects of the Constitution up, right? Before I go any further, I'm trying to make it a situation where I would want it to be interactive. So, Mr. Moderator, maybe you would assist in having 1 or 2 persons unmute, since I'll be doing some amount of reading and I'll be asking you for your help as so, right? As it relates to natural law, I'm going to use the first few minutes right here and have you guys give a listening here to me, please, because part of this process is really about a renewing of the mind, right? But as the name says, conscious JA, right? Consciousness is the only reality. Attention, please.
The Master Key System by Charles Hunnell. Part 1. Introduction. It is my privilege to enclose herewith Part 1 of the Master Key System. Would you bring into your life more power? Get the power consciousness. More health? Get the health consciousness. More happiness? Get the happiness consciousness. Live the spirit of these things until they become yours by right. It will then become impossible to keep them from you. The things of the world are fluid to a power within man by which he rules them. You need not acquire this power. You already have it. But you want to understand it. You want to use it. You want to control it. You want to impregnate yourself with it so that you can go forward and carry the world before you. Day by day, as you go on, as you gain momentum, as your inspiration deepens, as your plans crystallize, as you gain understanding, you will come to realize that this world is no dead pile of stones and timber, but that it is a living thing. It is made up of the beating hearts of humanity. It is a thing of life and of beauty. It is evident that it requires understanding to work with material of this description. But those who come into this understanding are inspired by a new light, a new force. They gain confidence and greater power each day. They realize their hopes and their dreams come true. Life has a deeper, fuller, clearer meaning than before. And now, Part 1. Part 1. That much gathers more is true on every plane of existence, and that loss leads to greater loss is equally true. Mind is creative, and conditions, environment, and all experiences in life are the result of our habitual or predominant mental attitude. The attitude of mind necessarily depends upon what we think. Therefore, the secret of all power, all achievement, and all possession depends upon our method of thinking. This is true because we must be before we can do, and we can do only to the extent which we are, and what we are depends upon what we think. We cannot express powers that we do not possess. The only way by which we may secure possession of power is to become conscious of power, and we can never become conscious of power until we learn that all power is from within. There is a world within, a world of thought and feeling and power, of light and of life, and of beauty. And although invisible, its forces are mighty. The world within is governed by mind. When we discover this world, we shall find the solution for every problem, the cause for every effect. And since the world within is subject to our control, all laws of power and possession are also within our control. The world without is a reflection of the world within. What appears without is what has been found within. In the world within may be found infinite wisdom, infinite power, infinite supply of all that is necessary, waiting for unfoldment, development, and expression. If we recognize these potentialities in the world within, they will take form in the world without. Harmony in the world within will be reflected in the world without by harmonious conditions, agreeable surroundings, the best of everything. It is the foundation of health and a necessary essential to all greatness, all power, all attainment, all achievement, and all success. Harmony in the world within means the ability to control our thoughts and to determine for ourselves how any experience is to affect us. Harmony in the world within results in optimism and affluence. Affluence within results in affluence without. The world without reflects the circumstances and the conditions of the consciousness within. If we find wisdom in the world within, we shall have the understanding to discern the marvelous possibilities that are latent in this world within, and we shall be given the power to make these possibilities manifest in the world without. As we become conscious of the wisdom in the world within, we mentally take possession of this wisdom, and by taking mental possession, we come into actual possession of the power and wisdom necessary to bring into manifestation the essentials necessary for our most complete and harmonious development. The world within is the practical world in which the men and women of power generate courage, hope, enthusiasm, confidence, trust, and faith, by which they are given the fine intelligence to see the vision and the practical skill to make the vision real. Life is an unfoldment, not accumulation. What comes to us in the world without is what we already possess in the world within. All possession is based on consciousness. All gain is the result of an accumulative consciousness. All loss is the result of a scattering consciousness. Mental efficiency is contingent upon harmony. Discord means confusion. Therefore, he who would acquire power must be in harmony with natural law. We are related to the world without by the objective mind. The brain is the organ of this mind, and the cerebrospinal system of nerves puts us in conscious communication with every part of the body. This system of nerves responds to every sensation of light, heat, odor, sound, and taste. When this mind thinks correctly, when it understands the truth, when the thoughts sent through the cerebrospinal nervous system to the body are constructive, these sensations are pleasant, harmonious. The result is that we build strength, vitality, and all constructive forces into our body. But it is through this same objective mind that all distress, sickness, lack, limitation, and every form of discord and inharmony is admitted to our lives. It is therefore through the objective mind, by wrong thinking, that we are related to all destructive forces. We are related to the world within via the subconscious mind. The solar plexus is the organ of this mind. The sympathetic system of nerves presides over all subjective sensations, such as joy, fear, love, emotion, respiration, imagination, and all other subconscious phenomena. It is through the subconscious that we are connected with the universal mind and brought into relation with the infinite constructive forces of the universe. It is the coordination of these two centers of our being and the understanding of their functions which is the great secret of life. With this knowledge, we can bring the objective and subjective minds into conscious cooperation and thus coordinate the finite and the infinite. Our future is entirely within our own control. It is not at the mercy of any capricious or uncertain external power. All agree that there is but one principle or consciousness pervading the entire universe, occupying all space, and being essentially the same in kind at every point of its presence. It is all-powerful, all wisdom, and always present. All thoughts and things are within itself. It is all in all.
Okay. I hope that was nice to the ear, right? As you heard that just now, it was just speaking a little bit on natural law, which is really telling you that consciousness is the only reality from the perspective of what it is that you are conscious of. Predominantly, that will be your reality. That will be your manifestation, right? Looking on this chart right here, it speaks of the hierarchy of laws in terms of public and private. When we look at laws, we're talking about public and private. That's how law is broken down after natural law. And I won't go into the Kabbalion, the 7 principles, Proverbs 9 verse 1. You guys could check that out. But natural law is really the highest order, right? This chart, it might be a little bit. Let me see something. You could see the structure. You have natural law, which is followed by positive law, and it's telling you that man-made law and men are really trustees of natural law. As I've been saying, natural law is from the Almighty, right? Who created man, and man created government amongst themselves, who governed those by the slavery defined by the general laws of nation. And when you heard me saying to you guys that we don't have a nation, and that's one of the first hurdles to get over, we ought to declare a nationality. By the general laws of nation, no nation is bound to recognize the state of slavery as to foreign slaves within the territorial dominions when it is so opposed to its own policy and institutions in favor of the subjects of other nations where slavery is recognized. If it does it, it is a matter of comity. Comity, when you think, that's another term under arbitration, right? And another matter of international right. The state of slavery is deemed to be a mere municipal regulation. Remember that, founded upon and limited to the range of the territorial laws. That's Sprigg versus Pennsylvania. That's a case law here. That was the dissent from the Supreme Court, or the United States Supreme Court, right? Jowett's Dictionary of the English law described public law as having several branches as follows. Law is either public or private. Public law is a part of the law which deals with the state, either by itself or in its relation to individuals, and is called constitutional when it regulates the relations between the various divisions of the sovereign power, and administrative when it regulates the business which the state has to do. So in a nutshell, there are different factions of law, and the two main compartments are really public and private. On the private side, you're doing procedural law, where you are sending out documents by virtue of contracts or hidden contracts that you are in, and you are seeking a remedy because you realize that something is on the public side is affecting you, and that's the property of the straw, right? So now we're going to be looking at this next little subchapter, understanding the words, and understanding the context of words when reading. I'm going to do understanding words and their legal meanings, right? We're going to be doing some of these words right here, and this is where I'm going to be asking persons to join in and read maybe 1 or 2 words. But I'll do this first one. It says persons, and these words are taken from Black's Law Dictionary. Henry Campbell Black is was the man who actually created this dictionary, and it's one of the most widely used dictionary in the area of law. From England with Blackstone commentaries, and over here in the United States of America, which all laws are really coming from that school. So persons are of two kinds, natural and artificial. A natural person is a human being. Artificial persons include a collection or a succession of natural persons forming a corporation. A collection of property of which the law attributes the capacity of having rights and duties. The latter class of artificial persons is recognized only to a limited extent in our law. Examples are the estate of a bankrupt or deceased person. It has been held that when the word person is used in a legislative act, natural persons will be intended. Note the word intended, unless something appear in the context to show that it applies to artificial persons. Unless something appears in the context to show that it applies to artificial persons. But as a rule, corporations will be considered persons within the statute unless the intent of the legislator is manifestly to exclude them. So what you're seeing right here is that it doesn't matter which way you look at it. It's telling you that it applies to artificial person. It's intended, right? But as a rule, corporations will be considered. So when they look at persons, they look at persons in the general context of a corporation. But if something comes up where appears in context, it says artificial, it says it applies to artificial persons. Sometimes you will see nothing there that tells you, okay, it's referring to the artificial person. But we might just assume, or we presume that it's referring to us, the natural man, right? I move on to my next word, which is charge. It says to impose a burden, duty, obligation, or lien, to create a claim against property. And this word is not on any of my slides, claim, but remember this word also, create a claim against property. To claim, to demand, to accuse, a jury, matters of law. To impose a tax, duty, or trust. And in commercial transaction, to bill or invoice. I'm going a little bit too fast, right? Note this word right here. It says, or this little phrase right here, to create a claim against property, right? The next word is express and implied. And this is really a broken down from the head term contract, which are of two kinds, so to speak. An express contract is an actual agreement of the parties, the terms of which are openly uttered and or declared at the time of making it, being stated in distinct and explicit language, either orally or in writing, right? Whilst an implied contract is one not created or evidenced by the explicit agreement of the parties, but inferred by the law as a matter of reason and justice from the acts of their conduct. So I'm gonna stop right here just for maybe a few seconds. It says, but inferred by the reason as a matter of, but inferred by the law as a matter of reason and justice from the acts of conduct. Now think about the conduct our conduct at this moment. We are still collecting benefits and privileges from, it sounds like my dad Jamaica, don't dear dog. The circumstances surrounding the transaction, making it reasonable. So our conduct is that we're collecting benefits. We're acting in a manner that we are volunteering to do whatever is requested of us. And when I say us, follow what I'm saying, it's never us that they're requesting anything to do. They're talking to the straw, right? But there's a presumption that the straw is us. So Think about it again. An express contract, full actual agreement where everything is expressly stated and implied. It's based off conduct, and it's just not really expressed on another level, right? I move over now to the next slide, which is property, and I'm looking for some.
Is also commonly used to denote everything which is the subject of ownership, corporeal or incorporeal, tangible or intangible, visible or invisible, real or personal, everything that has an exchangeable value or which goes to make up wealth or estate. It extends to every species of valuable right and interest and includes real and personal property, easements, franchises, and incorporable
Hereditaments.
hereditaments.
Yeah, these words, we'll check them out differently. But it says, I'll read it again. It says, property. The word is also commonly used to denote. Note this phrase right here, used to denote everything which is the subject of ownership. I should have highlighted this word ownership also, right? Quickly move on to the other slide. Instrument. Written document, a formal or legal document in writing, such as a contract, a deed, a will, bond, or lease. Sense 2, a document or writing which gives formal expression of a legal act or agreement for the purpose of creating, securing, modifying, or terminating a right. Think about this. It's a formal document which actually is securing or creating or modifying or terminating a right. A writing executed and delivered as the evidence of an act or agreement. A protest is the other word, right? And I'm just running through these words because I believe it is of great importance to understand how these words affect us. A formal declaration made by a person interested or concerned in some act about to be done or already performed, whereby he expresses his dissent or disapproval, or affirms the act against his will. The object of such declaration is generally to save some right, which would be lost to him if his implied assent could be made out, or to exonerate himself from some responsibility which would attach to him unless he expressly negatived his assent. A notarial act being a formal statement in writing made by a notary under his seal of office and at the request of the holder of a bill or a note, in which it is declared that the bill or note described was on a certain day presented for payment or acceptance, and that such payment or acceptance was refused, and stating the reasons, if any, given for such refusal, whereupon the notary protests shall against all party to such instrument and declares that they will be held responsible for all loss or damages arising from its dishonor. So this little part here is important. When you hear me say we would actually be doing affidavits, right? And sending these out affidavits, it will be what's called a protest, or some people call it a notarial act, where you would actually have a JP. They say notary here in the States. You would do a document, you draft a document up, you would have the notary sign on the seal, right? And you would send it. Don't look at this word that tell you bill or note. You would send it to whoever you are making a formal declaration. And if they refuse to answer, right, it causes dishonor. That's part of the administrative process. That's how we deal with even when you, I'm gonna delve off a little bit here. When we do agreements with financial institutions that allegedly lend us money, if we start asking them some questions which they are not able to answer, then you actually get them in what's called dishonor. And with that dishonor, you as man, because you have to leave the dead civil martyr status, you now can file claim against these corporations and seek damages because guess what? They didn't lend you any money in the initial place, in initial stage, right? And sometimes once they answer, it's called negative averment, right? Once they answer the document that you're sending them, it incriminates them further where they are liable to face some form of punishment, be it a fine. You get what I'm saying, through a court case or whatever. So when I say protest, we do protest with the pen because these people are public officials and they took an oath to perform a duty, but there is some trickery in the words that they're using. The last word coming up from these slides is the word driver, and I'm going to ask somebody to read this one for me, please. Okay. Driver. One employed in conducting or operating a coach, a carriage, a wagon, or other vehicle, with horses, mules, or other animals, or by bicycle, tricycle, or motor car, although not a street railroad car, like a train. A person actually doing driving, whether employed by owner to drive or driving his own vehicle. Now, to break this down for you, right? One of the words that I really want you to pay attention to here is this word, employed. One employed, whether employed by owner to drive or driving his own. So it's telling you clearly right here that a driver has to be employed. A lot of times we have vehicle and we're not employed to anybody, but are we driving? Are we really driving? And this is what we found out now through studying the law, that man, as I told you before, have rights. And one of the fundamental rights is to travel. When they created persons being artificial, right, were given privileges, not rights. And one of the privileges to drive. You have a driving license, but you gave up your right and took a implied contract with the government to get a driving license. So you gave away all your rights and believe that we had to go sign up with them to travel in our automobile. Notice the word automobile is not here. All of these are commercial terms. They say vehicle. The officer will stop you. Hey, get out of the vehicle or don't get out of the vehicle. You're not in a vehicle. You're in your private mode of conveyance, which is your property, your automobile. You never want to use these words. The moment you use these words, it's like you're giving them jurisdiction. And I always say, like, remember, listen, PJ Patterson, when he used to talk, he doesn't miss a word. He not leave certain words for you to catch him. So that's a part of understanding or understanding the law and how it's really applied.
So I'm just saying, am I to believe that persons who study the law, most persons who study, well, not if all who study the law are aware of all of this?
To an extent, bro, to an extent, but you got to remember now, when you say all persons that study the law, are you talking about those people who actually took an oath?
No, not referring to institutional.
Well, it depends, because guess what? Bob Marley told you when he says ambush in the night, they teach us what we know. So if you say study the law in a formal settings where you go to Harvard or any law school, you're going to be doing an administrative procedure. That's what it is. But whilst you're doing the administrative procedure, there are some hidden tricks that aren't exposed to a lot of lawyers, just like how a lot of police don't know that they're breaking rules. So as I looked at the word people, I'm sorry, I'll allow you to finish. You there?
Yeah, man, go ahead.
Yeah. So as I looked at the word people now to make the difference, it says humans, persons in general, men and women. These guys are cunning. Writing these documents, they are cunning. If you remember what I said to you, persons were the things, the word used mostly in the Constitution, but in the oath, it talks about people. So it's telling you that you have a right to go back and be amongst the people. You have a right to go back and be amongst the Maroons. The Maroons aren't pushed around to an extent as how the ordinary Jamaican citizens would be pushed around. In fact, we know that the Maroons are not Jamaican, because to be a Jamaican would be an employee. So like most Jamaicans, most in history than older days. Say for example, birth certificate. I don't know when it came in the early 1900s. But what about those persons who didn't have any birth certificate? They were free men and women. There were no adhesion contracts, right? So this part, the oath is really talking about, when he said people, he's talking about natural, living, breathing soul. He's there to faithfully discharge duty for those people. So because we're civilly dead, they can't hear us, bro. They can't hear us. We're showing them sign language through the connotative meanings of the words that we're using. And they can't read sign language. If you get what I'm saying.
Leave my brother, loud and clear.
Huh? Okay, got you. Now, I want to show you guys something else, right? And I'm talking about Jamaica in a sense that I spent a good little while doing some research, and I found out that I made a visit on the MINI ministry, MINISTRY ministry of JUS, Ministry of Justice in Jamaica, right? And look at this. On this website, which is the Ministry of Justice, that is the judiciary, right? I go here and I type this word, TANGANYIKA, Tanganyika, REPUBLIC, Republic. Okay, Tanganyika Republic. It's supposed to be right up here. The Tanganyika Republic Act. Look at this. Look at this, you know. This act, it's only 2 pages. I don't know what really happened. It says the 9th of December. This is called the Tanganyika Republic Act. Maybe the first time anyone hear about this thing. Anyway, in this act, it tells you that Parliament means the Parliament of Jamaica. And if I should read, it tells you that on the day, on and after the commencement of this act, all existing law shall, that is to say, all law which, which, whether being a rule of law or an administrative, or a provision or an act of parliament or of any other enactment or instrument whatsoever is in force on that day or has been passed or made before that day and come into force thereafter shall, unless and until provision to the contrary is made by parliament or some other some other authority having power that in that behalf and subject to the following provisions of this section have the same operation in relation to Tanganyika and persons and things belonging to or connected with Tanganyika as it would have apart from this subsection if Tanganyika had not been a republic. Now, I always wonder, I try to get answers. Nobody could ever answer me. What the hell is this thing doing on the Ministry of Justice website? And it's telling you it's the Tanganyika Republic Act, right? Look at this now. If I should go somewhere else and make mention of this, bear with me a minute, right? Okay. 1 second. Okay, this is over here. Look at this. No, this website is the US Securities and Exchange Commission, right? I'll tell you about this this website in a sense. So what this is the arms that track the securities that the government trades. Now look at this. It tells you this is the Jamaican government, and this is the filing number for the government, which is a company. Now look at this. It tells you the business address is 30 Heroes National Heroes Circle, and we know, or I know, that that office is the accounting general's department. That's where that office is at. And this Edgar system, look what it is. Look what it is. Before I go there, I could, yeah. So they do file enter debt securities and that kind of thing. I'm just trying to tell you that, hey, it's not a country as how we look at it. It's a corporation. Look at this. This says Edgar system, and this is they have a CIK number. This number right here. And look at these slides right here. What is the Edgar system? What is the Edgar system? The electronic data gathering, analysis, and retrieval system is the primary system for companies. You see what it says? And others submitting documents under the Securities Act of 1933. And if we know that, that was when they confiscated all the golds of the gold and silver of the American people and start issuing these fiat debt instruments. Securities Act of 1933, Security Exchange Act of 1934, the Trust Indenture Act of 1939. Remember, I'm saying to you now that Jamaica is a trust territory that was placed under administration by the British Crown in the United Nations, right? Look at this other one. The CIK number is a unique 10-digit number that we assign to companies, again, that file with the SEC. We have assigned a CIK number to you if you previously filed a Form D. If your company is already an Edgar filer, or if your company has already taken the necessary steps to obtain one. Anybody see where I'm going with this? Right?
Yes, I'm following.
Huh?
Yes, I'm following.
Okay, good. I know when I go to another thing right here, and it's this word right here, right? Dominion. What did the Bible say about dominion? It said God gave man dominion, right? Over all things. And dominion, coming from Black's Law Dictionary, the 4th edition, it's telling you that ownership or right to property or perfect or complete property ownership. It tells you title to an article to property which arises from the power of possession and the right of claiming it. Now look what it says in civil law. In civil law, property, not property, dominion, reference to the title of property, which is transferred by a sale of it. So the title is transferred by a sale of the property. So look at this. Dominion is said to be either proximate or remote, the former being kind of title vesting, right? And title vesting is actually, that's something I think I have it on the screen right here. Title vesting. No, it's not here. It's not on this one. But anyway, I'm gonna find it. Come over here. Title vesting. This is an act that's called Crown Property Vesting. It's called the mute your thing, please. It's called the Crown Property Vesting Act, and the Crown is the British Crown, and this act is for Jamaica, right? Look what it says. Remember instrument again? It says existing instrument means any enactment in force in this land at the commencement of this act. It means a certificate of title registered by the registrar of titles. So you think about your birth certificate. Your birth certificate is registered with the Department of Commerce, right? When we were born, how many of you guys have the little piece of red birth certificate with your name written in a pen? A Jamaica.
Why? You mean the white piece? I have a white thin slip that has like black writing on it. That's the one I have.
Yeah, I remember them one.
All right. You see those, when you look back at those didn't say birth certificate. It might say certificate of birth or whatever, but there's a difference. Like they use that one to create the birth certificate. Now, when they created the birth certificate came back with your name in all uppercase letters. That certificate tells you that you have ownership. Once there's a certificate, there is some amount of ownership, right? Of a registered, of title registered. So what they do, they split the title in two because we came as man or woman in this world in our allodial true proper status. They create a title for us and then they split it in two. One is called the equitable title. The other is called the legal title. So the same thing they do with automobiles. When you, like here in the States, as the Virgin had asked, when you go buy a vehicle, sometimes them tell us, you know, you have to wait until the license plate. At Jamaica, it's quick. You wait till all 30 days, you go to the dealer, you buy a vehicle, you wait 30 days, them send the tag, the license plate come to you. But in the meantime, you're driving with a temp tag. Now, through the law again, we found out that the title is in its allodial form, meaning if you use cash by the vehicle or the 20 that you have, it's supposed to be one title and the title belongs to you, the sovereign, the man. What the state does, they broke the title, they break the title in two and they create the legal, them keep the legal and send the certificate of title to you, what we call a title, which is the equitable title, and that allows us to sell, trade, do whatever we want to do with the vehicle. But the legal title now, them run around at the back and tell us, say, you have to license your vehicle to put it on the road to collect money from you. You have to insure it. Now, when you value it, right, the valuation that goes into the insurance company, those documents, they use them to create bond. When I say there is no money, there is money of account and money of exchange. Money of exchange is the same thing like the equitable title, that the one that passed through your hands. Money of account is the ledgering system that they use behind the scenes and float bonds off these ledgering system that we don't really know nothing about until we open up our eyes, right? But I was just saying this to say, when we go back to the word, go back to this word here, civil. That's where the trickery takes place in the civil law. Reference to title or property which is transferred by sale of it. So that's your dominion, right? There is another word which this word is the estate, estate, going back up to estate. Estate, E-S-T-A-T-E, right? And that's what this process is all about. It is actually reclaiming your estate, right? 1 second. Screen quick, E-S. Oh, so far. Oh, EX is a lot of words, you know. 1, 2, 3. Shucks.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
All right, while you're searching, can I interject a bit? Don't they do that same thing with land or home ownership, the same thing that they do with the car, where they just give us a certificate claiming that that is a title with us not knowing that it isn't?
Yes, it's the same thing. Any property, any property.
Okay, thank
Any property. Okay. So this dictionary now, the word, are you seeing the screen well? Or I need to big up some?
Clear.
Clear. All right. It says estate, right? It says a man's estate is that which he can sell or dispose of at his pleasure, or what he can pass on to another. Our parents passed estate on to us, but because there was no will, there was no instructions. That is why when they die, it has to go into probate. So what they did, they are managing our estate by registering us on that birth certificate, and that birth certificate is really our death certificate. So we are presumed dead until we raise ourselves in consciousness to the point of understanding that our birthright was robbed. Estate comprehends everything a man owns, real and personal, and ought right to be limited in its construction unless connected with some other word which must necessarily have to effect. It means ordinary the whole of the property owned by anyone. So guess what happened now? If you look at our status, right? We can't own property because we ourselves are property. We are under this property status by virtue of the mere fact of we being persons or being deemed as persons. So one of the first order is rebutting that presumption of us being dead entities, right? This definition, trust me, it's a long, it's one of the broadest term because that's what it is. They rob your birthright, our birthright, through the creation of the birth certificate, and our labor is pledged or was pledged to it, and they keep charging the estate. So every time they charge the estate, we on the other side need to reclaim our status as the beneficiary of the grand trust that was set up, right? But leave the estate thing for a little minute and pause that. Any questions? I'm gonna catch up something here. So, any questions?
Right now, may have too much questions.
Just one, just
Right.
one. We just need to get me head out of the water and come on land.
Continue.
That's all we need there to help I with.
Yeah. You can talk to me. You gonna ask me something, or am I explaining the thing clear enough? Where?
I know you're gonna move the in regards to some clarity on the, because I always hear some thing about the birth certificate and the number and stuff like that. I come on later. I didn't know if you went through an explanation where the birth certificate is. I know you went places about it, but if you did explain it out in regards to the numbers and stuff like that.
All right, the numbers them for the most part. Let me show you something. Let me say something right here. So I'm just gonna do this. This thing is being recorded on personal information on this thing right here, right? Personal information. But this is my stuff, right? I look like my palm. I'm not pass it. This is my stuff, right? So my birth certificate here in Jamaica. So part of what we do in the process, which I'm not sure how this will work for Jamaica in terms of doing the acceptance for value. That's another topic, right? But because reason why we do this is really for control the straw. What is a similar different process down there to control the straw. So all these the number in there's this number, no, not this number. They have a number on it. They have a number on it that's assigned to it's called a QSIP number. You're not gonna see the QSIP number on the birth certificate, but the number from the birth certificate is assigned a QSIP number, right? And that's what is being traded on the exchange. Now it is backed by your labor, and it go down to credit. what they're trying to do in Jamaica now is implement the credit bureaus, because all that exists is credit, and the system is using our credit and giving us paper money when I value nothing. So it's like even when you have a check, and you got the bank or deposit the check, one time people used to get back the check, the check stay in the bank and it circulate for your next 36 months, and then issue it as notes, further endorse after you sign it. But it'll come off of your labor with this pledge too. Saying, you get the Master King? In order to tell you if you go pull it up and something. Sometime you got in this website here. You go in this website, which I'm not sure. This one here, which is GMEI, Utility Entity Search. And you go in here so you could find different companies that are trading on. Let me type in, let me see something. I run my TR in there from Jamaica. Saying, and you could see different legal name, different companies. But this is just the front page. When you go in and dig deeper, sometimes you get other information. But these are bonds, lapse, retired, lapse, issued, active. You see what I'm saying? When you go inside the countries in Austria, whatever, them just sell them as bond. That's what they do. And if you go what is the website called again? Fidelity. You really have to set up an account with them, and you go by, like you type in a stock number, you see a whole heap more information. Like so for example, you would see this company here, national unit, whatever, you would say how the value of them bond, 150,000 much, whatever I want to be. You get what I'm saying? But I'm not too much into that aspect of it in the sense. Some people try to capture the bonds, as them call it, for liquidate it. When them put out warrant for you, right? They are putting a claim on your bond, on your birth certificate bond. And if them can't get you, if them can't get the birth certificate, that is why they want you. If you get to me, I say, because you sign yourself as surety for the straw. No, I don't necessarily want to get carried away, right? I'm gonna do something else. I want to read something for you, see? And just bear with me. I don't know how my sound to you, right? Here. This document, I copied it in Word. It says, when a government becomes a corporation, what you need to know. There no longer exists any form of representative government under the framework that is in the United Nations Charter. The United Nations platform is offered as a contract and has then enforced via the Bilderberg. I don't know if you know that name, but just like how they call the Rockefeller them or something, the Bilderberg steering committees. Influence upon all signatory governments, just like Andrew them sell out, them to sign something with the United Nations. Today, that presents yourself, today, what presents itself as your council or government, or more correctly, the men and women working within the same, defraud you by pretending they represent you and operate according to the parameters of the office they hold after them your vote to hold that office. What we call the government today is in fact an incorporated entity. And I just showed that to you that Jamaica is a company. That means that because they are corporations, one, they can no longer represent the autonomous living man/woman. We've been told a lie. Due to the fact that the council/government has changed jurisdiction, they are not dealing with the law of the land, the common law. They are dealing in the law of Admiralty Maritime Jurisdiction. They have shifted from the realm of laws to the realm of commercial legislation. Now, when you heard me say to you, everything is commercial, forget about the feelings. It's all commercial. And I'm going to stop right here. It says the realm of laws to a realm of commercial legislation controlled by the UCC, and the UCC is the Uniform Commercial Code, which is a set of codes we use, Universal Commercial Code. It uses Jamaica too, but I am not able to find the codes for Jamaica. But under the law contract, it is the same thing. You do me something, me expect you to answer. Me write you one letter. If you don't answer, a default. Me file a claim for you. You get what I'm saying? So that is the commercial law. So that is where we have our remedy, as I say. We have to put pen to paper. And for the movement of cargo, when you look at cargo mean, we are considered to be cargo. Coming under shipping, remember berth? Anybody see where I'm going? B-E-R-T-H, B-I-R-T-H, vessel, dock, the docket at the doctor, the dock that the ships park, the ship park. Shipping, this is the Universal Postal Union, UPU, which one of the highest authority upon the land, and they are Switzerland. This they call the legal system. However, they enthusiastically keep up an act, which is passing acts of parliament, in which they work very hard to convince you that they represent you while knowing the contrary to be fact. Now, I'm going to pull up something what happened here, so make a look on that thing and see this. Go Google. CFR, all CRIME, all crimes are commercial. And this is a legal document me reading of the United States. Legal document, right? This means, this stands for Code of Federal Regulation, right? And this is what it tells you. It tells you when all crimes are commercial. It tells you that commercial crimes, any of the following type of crimes, federal or state, offenses against the revenue laws, burglary, counterfeiting, forgery, kidnapping, larceny, robbery, illegal sale or possession of deadly weapons, prostitution, including soliciting, procuring, plundering, white slaving, keeping house of ill fame, and the like offenses, extortion, swindling, and confidence games, and attempting to commit, conspiring to commit, or compounding any of the foregoing crimes. Addiction to narcotics, drugs, and use of marijuana will be treated as if such were a commercial crime. So this tells you that all crimes are commercial. But look, as you ask me about the law right now, look on this. I'm gonna divert now. Have you or your family member been victimized of your so-called legal system? There is help. However, it will not come from an attorney at law. Never will it ever come from an attorney. For they are the problem, not the solution. They took an oath. The Citizens' Rights Task Force is here to help you. Why? Consider the following facts. According to the Chief Justice William whatever, 100% of the people that are in federal or state penitentiaries are there voluntarily. We sign a document, right? Don't believe it. We have some simple yes or no questions to prove how one is duped into forfeiting their rights as man, giving them away to be persons and trading them for statutory privileges. That's what persons have, statutory privileges, because statutes are for corporations, not for the living soul. An attorney at law is an arm of the state, and their first duty is to the court, then the government, not to you. Furthermore, whenever any duty to you interferes with their first duty, you are the one that is to take a back seat. You ever got quoted and the attorney have one next matter? Think you have attorney-client privilege where what you say to an attorney. Where what you say to an attorney. Ever hear of the discovery? That's a process that they're gathering the evidence for to find the facts of the case before it go trial. This is where your attorney is ordered to turn over your information to the state and that is attempting to incarcerate you. 1 in 32 Americans is either in prison or on parole or probation. Over 40% of the people admitted into prison in America are convicted under the political code and therefore, by definition, political prisoners. Furthermore, since political prisoners end up with a mandatory longer sentence, the cumulative effect is that they end up being the majority of the population. I could go on, right? If you go to trial in the federal court, there's a 96% chance of being convicted. Do you really believe that only 4% are innocent? Is that the government position that if you do not know your rights, then you don't have any? According to CFR 27 CFR 72.11, burglary, counterfeiting, kidnapping, illegal sale, robbery, sale or possession of weapon, prostitution, etc. are all commercial crimes. So these crimes, these crimes are what you call victimless crime. There is no living man or woman that could say you broke him foot or you broke him hand or you mash up him gate or you lick him window or you damage him car. Them charge you get is like a Regina, you versus the state of Georgia, you versus the United States. Just because I want to get some credit out of your birth certificate account, but I continue. That makes them liars from the minute they join the council government. The position is in controversy, and any and all organization of men/women that cover the fact are also in controversy. Those lawyers, they cover the fact, including judiciary. See, the judiciary cover the scam, and if you demand full disclosure, which you have a right to demand full disclosure, right? You have a right to demand full disclosure as it relates to the use of dog Latin, the language that they use to talk to us today, which is legalese. They call it dog Latin, the language of the illiterate or the language of the dead. Only dead people use it. Them deadly, you know, brethren. Today called American Sign Language. Remember when we were looking at the thing, the connotative and the denotative? This thing is telling you that today it's called sign language. So the connotative sense how we use the word, it's like signs. We are showing these guys signs and they can't read these signs. They run out of court. They do that because of the fact that the paperwork they're using two languages. So if you go in there now and use, look on the two language now, you know, driver and traveler, they might charge you for a ticket, say speed. You tell them, say, prove that I was speeding because the Constitution not tell you how fast you can drive. They create acts called the Road Traffic Act, which is to regulate persons. But you, the man now, travel as long as you're not putting somebody's life at risk. I'd have to remain in a society. And I'm not saying that you're supposed to go out there and just drive as fast as you want. That's where you see discipline. So let me tell you, so the people in mind have to really change, to come home to a better kind of, a greater level of consciousness, if you get what I'm saying. The system does trap with. You're supposed to go into the court now and ask them to prove it, that you are driving because you're not hired. So this is where them say they do that because of the fact that the paperwork they're using is two languages. Therefore, they run out of court for one of two reasons: concealment of the facts. They don't want to say what's happening, or the right to silence. They remain silent and they might just say, okay, matter dismissed or whatever. You get what I'm saying? But they don't put these things on the record because they don't want everybody to know. In as much as every government is an artificial person, an abstract, and a creature of the mind only, a government can interface only with other artificial person. They can't talk to we, but we need to have something on record that's stating, hey, who are you talking to? Are you talking to this divine entity that was created by God? Or you're talking to the artificial person that you have jurisdiction over? You state your facts together and let them talk because it's just an ex-man like you who have dominion. The imaginary, having neither actuality nor substance, is foreclosed from creating or attaining parity with the tangible. So dumb people can't talk to people where I talk. A sign language them have to go show. We can't understand it unless we go learn the sign language. So we now need to learn the language of the living, which is start using words that are of the legal nature when we talk. The legal manifestation of this is that no government, as well as any law, agent, aspect, court, etc., can concern itself with anything other than the corporate artificial person and the contracts between them. So if we go back and look back at the chart now, which side deal with contract? Side deals with contract is private. So because we are in a contract, we got to ask questions to get full disclosure of what's happening. And if we aren't getting answers, somebody will be placed in default and you could file a tort claim because now you have proper status in law as a man. Everything for you as living man is over on this side, but your estate, the straw, is over here and we are connected to it. It's called a transmitting utility. We give it energy for them, right? I mean, it says at the highest level, the three jurisdictions of the courts are the ecclesiastical courts, which are really like the common law. This is an ecclesiastical law, or really like the natural law up there. Canon, Greek canon law oversees admiralty courts, maritime commercial courts. So this is what we're under. These jurisdictions were handed over to the inner temple of Elizabeth. I built the navy, they built the navy, finance the house of Palavanchi for the Holy See, which is the Pope, under the command of the private crown. The inner temple and this jurisdiction passed over to Washington, D.C. in the contracts. So they established a government over here when they fought the war between what they call the American Revolution, when it was the Caucasians who came over here. Our people were over here long before, living on the land, inhabitants of the land. They came over here under invitation from the Moroccan Empire, because all these lands over here were under the Berber kingdom, or the Moroccan Empire. And I'm not talking about Morocco out there in North Africa, right? So when they came over here, the war was really because they came as British subjects, and them set up shop, and them supposed to pay them tax, send them tax to go back to England. And some said them not pay the tax. Seeing? When them said them not pay the tax, some said them will pay it. The one who said them will pay it, you call them loyalists. The one who said them not pay it, you call them patriot. So it was our people who used the documents over here, the Republic, for which America stands, and instituted a government in Washington, D.C. for them. They were called the Union Society, right? No, the 10 square mile was there, it's there. The other side, who are the loyalists to King George at the time, they were always there in the background fighting for power. Even though you have had presidents who are loyalists for King James, right? But they are still Republican. So if you see what's happening like here now, they created that United States, that US, which is not the United States of America. What they did, they found a loophole in the Constitution and erected a US government, which is not the United States of America. And ever since, they've been like a war. The Republic is still sitting here, and the Republic is just like what I tell you, like when you look at the little chart with the land. Georgia State, Florida State, California Republic, Texas Republic, as they would still call them, New York Republic is the organic land, and man is sitting on the land or standing on the land with not a drop of water in sight. Now, when this thing was registered in 17 something, right, they created what's called territories and districts. And what they did, just like how them have Cornwall, Middlesex, and Surrey, they tell you any person who reside in the state of Georgia be liable to taxation. The person that resides in the state of Georgia is the artificial entity. Now the man domicile in Georgia Republic, but he's answering to that name out there that's on the public side. So that is what traps us in the system, and we don't know. Now, what they did, it set away as if the Republic is bullshit. But guess what? Every time, look how the border them open on people running. But is this? We are the people of the land. What they're doing, they're trying to get new contracts signed up in ink. Look at Biden policy, open immigration policy. Yes, are the people in place, you know. Don't get me wrong, you know. But because they're going down, they're trying to act as if they're doing something for the people by allowing them to come in. But what's happening? They're coming in under some conditions, conditional acceptance. Come in, pay on the taxes, work and go on. All they want to do is create new contracts. When Trump come in back now, or the Republican come in back, him try to squeeze out everybody. Because once you go over there, so you're going in a fictitious world and you give them energy, but man have rights in a republic and person have privileges in a democratic society. If you're living in a democratic society, as with them said Jamaica, Democratic Republic, it is man still exists in a private settings. So what we're doing now, we're trying to go to the private side of the law. Seeing? When we say we look on this land, right? we're talking about the conditions under which man really exists as sovereign beings. You have the right not to be infringed upon once you now violate the peace or somebody else's right, because in a republic, you know, the Republican form of government, them respect the rights of the people.
Yeah, likewise, you have to respect the rights of the
people also. It is
yeah.
That is what them call duty and obligations.
Yes.
See?
Correct.
Mute again. Let me see how I can run through this. Go back up to. See, this is one of the documents that was filed. I was showing somebody this. Look at this. This is 493 500,000. 493,500,000 amount to be registered. And where the money come from, God, you know. Seeing? Jamaica, but this see the government of Jamaica debt securities. So because the country is basically they're bankrupt. Just like the US, so all them do is package them debt and sell it. And then pressure come with it and time them get a bailout from the United Nations. But I'm gonna look at what's called a mute again. A trust territory, right? And this is a trust territory under trusteeship of the United Nations or a country designated by it. So it is a territory under trusteeship of the United Nations or a country designated by it, right? Trusteeship. Now, remember we mentioned the Tanganyika, right? Look at this thing right here. That flag here, this flag right here, this flag is the flag of the Republic of Tanganyika. Now, my little research, this
Ghana.
Yes, it's not. Yeah, no more echo. Yeah. Honestly, me never got to nobody to prove them thing or not. This is just my little information and me see and me put it out there. Somebody can go out there and vet it and see what them pick up. Now, remember I was saying we don't understand the tie-up between Jamaica and Tanganyika. When you look at this right here, when you look at this is the Independence Act. When you look at the Independence Act, right, it tells you I'm yet to find out what this thing is. I'm read from the top. Consequence of modifications of British nationality. Consequences of modifications of British Nationality Act. As from the appointed day, the British Nationality Act of 1948 and 1958 shall have effect as if in subsection 3 of subsection 1 of said act of 1948, which provides for persons to be British subjects or Commonwealth citizens by virtue of the citizenship of certain countries. It says, for the words and Tanganyika, there were substituted the words Tanganyika and Jamaica. Me not make sense of that something here. Seeing? Independence Act. I don't make sense of it. You come down here, so it tell you again, for the words or Tanganyika, there shall be substituted the words Tanganyika or Jamaica. So when me really, my thing when me really grab from it is that when you look at the 11 trust territories, UN trust territories, you have 11 of them, right? Tanganyika is one of them. In my own analysis, is like you open a bank account and the bank account there over England, but them have one bank over Tanganyika, which is right out here. Wait, let me kill it. Right here, East Africa, Southeast Africa in a sense. See it? That's the Tanganyika Republic. Seeing? So the bank account is in, or the head bank is in England. You have a branch over there, so the main branch, not the main branch, the second branch in command, where they over East Africa. But instead of creating another territory, they would have 12, right? Then put Jamaica under that one here. Because what the UN Trust Territories, all these things came into being was when they were abolishing the League of Nations, the United Nation, right? When they were doing away with the League of Nation, that is right after World War II, when them said must stop the frigging now and just broke off the food and give forget to Martinique, Guadeloupe, then get to the French. Them set up them thing. What they did, they took the people off the land, so they got independence, registered the corporation, Jamaica, bring them on the corporation by giving them citizenship. So they are no longer on the land. So them now deal with the landlord. Them they're in a foreign jurisdiction, which is on a ship, citizenship. And when you go on that ship, you have to abide by the rules of the captain. No if, no but, no maybe, unless you come off of the ship. You're your own man, but once you're up on this, so we need to come out of the Jamaican citizenship. Something. Now, a little bit more upon the Tanganyika something. I have something you not find, trust me. The trust territory designated by the Avalon project. So these things were mandated. I'm not even finding them. I put them up on okay. Look at what a trusteeship agreement is. A trusteeship agreement means the agreement drawn between the issuer, and the issuer in this case would be the British Crown, who had us as colony, and the trustee as set forth in my deed. The trustees are the United Nations and who under them, Andrew. Them take mandate, them take instruction as set forth in my deed. Notary public, dated whatever. Trusteeship agreement in a sentence. I'd even done some other stuff on Google it. But the long and short of it is that it's evident enough from several avenues that Jamaica itself isn't a corporate, isn't a country, as you see clearly on this Edgar thing right here. See it here? CIK, that are them last 5-digit Jamaica state location. Go back over it. Them make filings with on Edgar, which is the data, the data getter for those type of transaction, right? Go back over to these PDF. There was one PDF compatibility. Was it this one? Ownership? No. Right. Any questions again? Fine.
Yeah, that Tanganyika aspect there. You now look on the actual flag looking.
Yeah.
You know, we not say that the flag they look like other flag that the man them just adjust for the Jamaica flag.
That's my point, my brother. That's my point. And then
that's where they
no, but because sorry. Go on, man. Hello? Okay, because Tanganyika was actually, in my view, was a bigger territory, right? They just bring Jamaica underneath it for the British Crown, because it's still the British Crown control the Tanganyika Republic. But for something else now, if you look at this, I'm going to read this affidavit, and these are some of the documents that we would be sending out, but we just need to modify them to fit the context of Jamaica. And look what this one says under natural law. To be known to all courts, government, and other parties that I, your full name, upper lowercase, not no all caps name, I'm a natural freeborn sovereign without subjects. I am neither subject to any entity anywhere, nor is any entity subject to me. I neither dominate anyone, nor am I dominated. My authority for this statement is the same as it is for all free sovereigns everywhere. The age-old, timeless, and universal respect for the intrinsic rights, property, freedom, and responsibilities of the sovereign individual. I am not a person. When such term is defined in statutes of, you could say, the Jamaican law, the context of the Jamaican law, or statutes of several states, or we could take out this part. When such definition includes artificial entity, I refuse to be treated as a federal. Them uses, you could say, I refuse to be treated as a ward of the state. Created entity which is only capable of exercising certain privilege or immunities, and as specifically granted by federal or state government. We can fix up this. I voluntarily choose to comply with the man-made laws which serving to bring harmony to society, but no such laws, nor their enforcers, have my authority, of any authority over me. I am not in any jurisdiction. That's a broad word to look at, broad term. For I am not of subject status. Right now we are of subject status. Well, consistent with the eternal tradition of natural common law, unless I have harmed or violated someone or their property. I have committed no crime. I am therefore not subject to any penalty. I act in accordance with the following United States Supreme Court. Now we can find case law. We have case law that this says the individual may stand up on his constitutional right as citizens. Seeing? I would change this word to man/woman. He is entitled to carry on his private, if you realize it's a private, business in his own way. What these guys are doing, they're eliminating privacy. And that's why I can't understand how some people go vote for Democrat. I never voted in my life yet. But if you can say we were fooled because enough people did that burn out Uncle Trump. Enough people. But because we never really get no great introduction to civics and many other things go around where we don't know them hide information from our own ways why we are in this predicament. We can't blame nobody else. We need to take charge and start read and go into the law and pull out the things that are applicable to us, because even if I know we know, we are going to have pitney and grand pitney and great grand too, you know. Seeing? So me look at it from the standpoint of, as we say, consciousness is the only reality. We can't be too concerned with what they are doing. What we're doing, we are exercising our God-given right, the dominion for own property, exclusively. Fee simple, that's what it's called. You're not paying any tax. You're living off the land. Read again. His power to contract the unlimited, he owes no such duty to submit his books and papers for an examination to the state, since he received nothing therefrom. You know, if you collect nothing from them, boy, if you're collecting something, it has to be done through an entity like a LLC or whatever. You not do it in a fair name. Beyond the protection of his life and property, his rights are as such existed by the law of the common law, long antecedent to the organization of the state. This is just, as we say, it's called an affidavit of truth. You really state some facts. And a guy, you send this to the governor general, which is a man, or the office of the prime minister, or whoever. This is what? This is an affidavit of truth. This is the one that I use this one, right? As a matter of fact, let me pull it up for me for nothing got joke. Affidavit of truth. They say like all these documents right here. My Queen Derek Mitchell Trust, if you look at this went to the Pennsylvania Avenue, Janet Yellen, DBA, she's doing business as the Secretary of State. It's the same thing with Peter Bunting. He's doing business as the Minister of, or the Shadow Minister for National Security. You follow me, I say? The titles that they hold are fictional. Fictional in the sense, see here, this one is mine, right? It says, let it be known to all that I, Queen Derek Mitchell, explicitly reserve all my rights. See UCC 1-308, which was formerly UCC 1-207, performance or acceptance on the reservation of rights, a party with an explicit reservation, please mute, of rights performs or promises performance or assents to perform in a manner demanded or offered by other party does not thereby prejudice the right reserve. Such words as without prejudice, under protest, or whatever. You're saying that if I'm going to sign anything, you learn them thing and now you put without prejudice. You secure your rights. I retain all of my rights and liberties at all times and in places non pro tunc. No for them. This is Latin. So it's like, yeah, so you secure your right from one time when they thief, from them time till now. From the time of my birth and forevermore. Further, I retain my rights not to be compelled to perform, right, under any contract or commercial agreement that I did not enter knowingly. It has to be expressed. So when them come to you for sign on ticket, they might try to fleece money from you, but they not tell you. So you are going to ask him something else, voluntarily and intentionally. And furthermore, I do not accept the liability of a compelled benefit. So when them give you something, you have to accept you have a liability, which is compelled performance. That's how it works. Of any unrevealed contract or commercial agreement. I am not ever subject to silent contracts and have never knowingly or willfully contracted away my sovereignty. They took it, but he wasn't aware of it. Further, I am not a United States citizen or a 14th Amendment citizen. That's why I miss enough people when they are foreign and feel like being a citizen is a good thing. It's actually not. And that's how Biden then free up. Every democratic government, it's always easier. We'll a visa. We operate out of that frame of mind. You know. Don't think I look upon it and I say, okay, I something went right. But when you learn a little bit more in the law, you realize how damaging it is, because why live like a slave when you can be a king? I am a state citizen. As I was saying to you, Georgia Republic is the state of the Republic and reject any attempted expatriation. See 15 USC, whatever, also known as the expatriation statute. Violation of my fee is $250,000 per incident or per minutes or any part thereof. Wherefore all have undeniable knowledge. So let me show you something now. You see all of these documents, draft them up, sign them, get them notarized, do what we do, affidavit of truth, and then we would actually put them on the public record. And the public record is just like you saying, hey, oh yeah, oh yeah. You stand up on a court step, let it be known, you tell what you want to tell to the public. You put it in the newspaper and publish it so one did see, one supposed to see it. And if it is there for 30 days and nobody says anything, you continue to do what you're doing. If somebody rebuts what you put out there, then let him come with him proof and you might end up going to the court. You see the drift? Talk to me, anybody? Oh, it's there.
Yeah, man. That remind me I want divorce. You put in the paper and if the person responded, do your thing. Because it's the same thing, divorce them.
It's all about
divorce them system.
Yeah, it's all about contract, brother. It's all about contract.
Understand? What kind of retaliation can be if you do that? Like how you say you would do the divorce thing and somebody counteract. What is the state or the government coming back at us regarding to our counteraction?
No, that's going to be a party for both matters. That's going to be a matter for both parties, rather. The person who have a problem with getting the divorce notice and the person who filed the divorce notice. Let me show you something. I sent this thing inside the group. I don't know how much somebody read, you know. I sent a thing in a group the other night called an article with Andrew Holness. Not Andrew Holness. When Damon Crawford, I said to him, I say a badness in my use. The same thing the one that watching our video. Who remember it?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man, we are seeing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Even that same thing that can help you.
I copy it from the Gleaner, right? I'm going to read it, you know. One time, stay with me. Johnson Smith, who is also Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, was opening the debate on the amendment of the disaster risk management, under which a number of fines were added and penalties for ignoring the COVID-19 protocols. We recognize for some time now that the opposition has been seeking to build this narrative of the government as oppressive and trying to style the Prime Minister as a dictator or as authoritarian, said Johnson. However, she stated that although it is the narrative, the government recognizes that people in the type of democracy that Jamaicans celebrate, we're not a democracy, republic, supported by the free media environment, have a right to protest. What kind of protest we do? Pen and paper, we now use placard. But whatever criticism that are made out about the government should be legitimate. She stated as well that despite the freedom of dissent, the government does not believe that any of the narrative being developed is true. We won't believe that the conduct of this government is reflective of these narratives. So we simply continue to address them with action and with facts and with clear and focused leadership, said Johnson. But responding to our introduction of the bills, opposition Senator Crawford, Damon Crawford, turned around the argument when he told members that badness has been a feature of the government's approach to criticism, inciting a noisy uproar, which almost brought the debate to a dramatic close. According to Crawford, the approach of the government in response to critique or dissent has made people afraid to respond to its actions, as it has assumed an image of government badness. As citizens, as properties of a country, are afraid of the government. Property no most afraid, man. We have many who have criticized Mr. Holness or Andrew Holness have been arrested and punished, he said. Johnson Smith rose on a point of order that Crawford was misleading the Senate. I don't know something like, and should withdraw the allegations. So in my sense, they are untrue. They are baseless. And they should not remain on the records of this chamber, because them take record, just like how them take record a certain court, and they're supposed to go to court to have record for preserve the error if you appeal. When Crawford insisted on continuing, government member Charles Sinclair said the arguments against the government has reached a stage where the president, Senator Tom Tavares Finson, should use his authority under the standing order to seek evidence of Crawford's claim or discontinue the presentation. Right, as I'm like. Crawford make a statement. Them say, you look on the word so. He made a claim. Seeing? A man make a claim, and Sinclair is asking the senator to use him authority under the standing order to make Crawford come with him evidence. So when we put out our claim in the farmer affidavit and say we are true living sovereign natural, and we're not this corporate entity, fictional, make-believe, presumptive kind of thing, right? They have to rebut what we are saying. Can they? Who believe them can do it? And prove that we're not living being, and we are not fictional persons. Who believe that they can rebut that? Anybody believe?
Yeah, man, can
Silence in
try.
the house.
But I'm going to silence that.
So
Believe me, I'm going to silence.
Hold on.
No, man.
Style, I understand, because look at it in our case where, say for example, you owe a bank some money. Mute again. We are reason a little bit. So for example, you owe a bank some money, right? When the bank send you a bill every month or whatever, when you understand the law, you will find out that it is an alleged debt. You would send the what name there. You would send the bank a document, right, where you would be asking for stuff like verification. Because that you might tell Crawford, come with evidence for back up your thing. Saying, and if you can't produce them something there, it look bad for you. So look on all a simple document like this, right? And these are templates that we use. It is telling you that this is called an adequate assurance of due performance. I'm going to switch up the title really. This is saying your name right here, read the alleged mortgage number, and you're telling them that this debt is disputed. Before I pay, I want to know the details of what the entire agreement is, and if you perform according to the agreement. It has come to attention, really, after consulting with the borrower's CPA and researching the United States codes. When I find them coded in Jamaica and Africa, go in a law library. The corresponding code of federal regulation and the Uniform Commercial Code, this day Jamaica, and certain Federal Reserve Bank publication, the same bank them operate off of one principle. That there is reason to believe that the alleged lender is not the holder in due course, or next term that in a law, of the borrower's promissory note, and or may have breached the agreement concerning the above reference account. So in essence, what happened right here, so you're telling them that the borrower is hereby requesting that an authorized officer or agent of the lender sign and return the attached affidavit within 15 days. This a document, yeah? Any of them sign this, them gone in trouble. Because the bank not have no money for lend you, and then can't lend out other people's money. Who lend them the money? Huh?
Yeah, 1 second.
You think of the bank manager?
Yeah, I can ask something.
Yeah, give me a 5-minute break now. Can you give me a five? I could take 5 minutes break. All right, about 3 minutes, something like that. Just stand up a little bit.
Yes,
Huh?
yes, yes.
Something you want to ask.
Yeah, man, you can ask the question, man. Go on, man.
Okay, all right. This is the same thing with the bank. There was an old gentleman who was teaching me about that because I know about this straw man for years now. I've been telling people about that. Yeah. Try to enlighten them and try to open them eyes about it. So hearing you talking about it, it's like it's opening my eyes even more. Yeah. I always tell that person that we are our eyes are wide shut. Yeah. Means that we are the home, but we're not saying nothing. Right? No. Regarding to the bank, the gentleman was telling me the similar to what you were saying, and saying that there's a part of it where he said that even on the document, because it's a corporation, no third party can sign the document. That means that the loan manager, the loans officer, none of it, because like the banks, they call Scotia, can't sign because it's a bank, and there's no money to be lended. And you said to them, if they prove it, they must say at the bottom of it, if they prove it, you should say that you pay it in without prejudice or something like that.
Yeah, because
and so you're not supposed to talk to them on the phone. It's supposed to be done in writing.
Tell them, put it in writing, reduce it to writing, and send it to you.
Right. So I mean, I hear you talking about. I never even knew even the document that you're showing right now. Sorry, that it was a legitimate document like that. He was just saying that there's a way you could write it, and even the money that was you would have borrowed is basically because they don't have any money to lend, and it's actually your money. This is the part I wanted to ask. Like because of the birth certificate, which is basically you're saying something linked to BOJ, which is the Bank of Jamaica. Like we have money there, and the bank basically would have borrowed our own money, give it to us, and we'd have to pay back an interest rate, and then they will give back to the bank. Is you know anything behind that?
All right, you come let me get distracted a while ago, but let me tell you really how it work. This is the thing what we call promissory note, what we sign, or the loan agreement that we sign. When we sign, right? Look at this thing right here, because I'm not like I'm not sure, you know. Seeing? Look at this thing right here called it's UCC, everything under UCC, UCC, endorsements, UCC endorsements, and endorsement comes under section 3-204. This really sounds like a US something, but I see them code them we use at Jamaica, but we don't know what them there if it tell you the number, right? But the principle is the same. It tells you that. Look what it tells you, say. And we don't know them something, them thing I don't teach you, brother. It tells you, say, endorsement means a signature other than that of a signer, a maker, a drawer, or acceptor, that alone or accompanied by other words is made on an instrument. Remember, we look at the word instrument. Remember? For the purpose of 1, negotiating the instrument, restricting payments of the instrument, or 3, incurring endorser's liability on the instrument. But regardless of the intent of the signer, a signature and its accompanying words is an endorsement unless the accompanying words, terms of the instrument, place the signature or other circumstances unambiguously indicate that the signature was made for the purpose other than endorsement. In essence, you have, that's how when you sign a document. So here what you don't know. When we sign document, you have several different types of endorsement. You have an endorsement that is called blank endorsement. It is being done as what's called an accommodation party. We're not going now, we're not going now. ACCOMODATION, accommodation party, UCC, right? Look what it says. Accommodation party, or anomalous endorsement. Accommodation party signs the instrument for the purpose of incurring liability on the instrument. You hear that, brother? The accommodation party signs the instrument for the purpose of incurring liability on the instrument without being a direct beneficiary of a value given for the instrument. So look how this works now. You signed in the capacity of an accommodation party, meaning You sign for the purpose of incurring the liability, which is to pay back the loan. You, the man, sign. When you sign, you gave them the document. You did what? Without being a direct beneficiary, you're not getting no benefit enough of the value given for the instrument. The instrument is signed by an accommodation party for accommodation. So what them do now, the bank take the instrument from you and further put what's called a special endorsement, and they stamp it and they see it. But do now, them got the treasury, them got the window and get the cash, or then get a line of credit. Them convert the credit in a fiat paper money, or them create some digital and put it in your account. When them do that in your account now, none of them money don't have no real value. So they didn't give you anything of value. And when you're going at the law and start read about contract, you hear the term consideration. The bank didn't give you anything of consideration. You gave them something of value. But them trick you because you think that you sign one thing where you have to go pay for. You never know, say you just gave them, and you gave them what's called a value when you put your signature upon it. So you just like the traffic ticket. You get a ticket for $1,000. When the police get back a ticket, you can get $1,000 already, where them go float on the paper, plus you go find one next $1,000 I give them. Double dipping. So when you sign it now where you are, when you write without prejudice, or you write UCC 3108, is like you reserve your rights. When you understand how to sign a name now, you're not signing with black ink again. You're signing by the person. By meaning you are the living person signing. It is signed by you. When you put a name on it, it is like you're saying sign as the dead entity. So we are signing as the dead entity, and that is where we transfer our power, our energy over to these people.
So question, you just put the word by. I don't understand that part. Don't sign the name. Yeah, I know that, because once you put your name.
Sorry. Let me pull up. Let me pull up something. I'll show you how it's there.
Yeah, because I know, so once you sign a name, you basically accept you're part of the corporation and you're using government name. That's why all people as I tell you say don't come by my government name. Yes, I understand that part. But when you sign as the living entity and you put by, what does that mean?
It means you literally spell the word BY : and your name.
Good. So
Okay.
So you're gonna put you're gonna put this is how you do it. Let me show you how me have it on some of my thing then. That would have come so. BY : seeing JOHN John, you have that. Sorry. This piece HENRY, this DOE. Then you have a comma and you have AGENT. You have agent. That's how the living flesh and blood would sign. Now, coming out of the Moorish Science Temple, you see one next something, they might tell us you can really do it all upper lowercase. But this is telling you that it's a living being. And you can also put your thumbprint beside it to signify that the inner signed by no dead man. The dead entity, in essence, if you get what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we are signing as the straw. We are signing as that fiction.
Yeah.
So when we sign it as fiction, them take it and put on the cream on it by giving it a special endorsement. See, I'm going far and I think in a lesson in terms of what we're doing really, but I don't mind. Google types of endorsement, right? I didn't spell this right. INDORSE. Types of endorsement in COMMER, commercial law. Pull up something. Types of endorsement. That's all that we're doing. We're dealing in negotiable instrument. This topic is a broad topic. Negotiable instrument. You don't know, say, when you apply for a job, my brother, the application is being sold because the country them bankrupt, the corporation them bankrupt. So when they apply for a job, they sell it and based upon what them call the actuarial principle, how much money you might end up work. Or when you get fired, that is how unemployment coming because they know say this might not have value again because it not work there. So you understand what I say? Endorse, right? Look at the different types of endorsement. Placement of endorsement, uh, you have various type of endorsement, partial endorsement, blank endorsement, special endorsement. Sometimes, you see what it says? Known as endorsement in full. Endorsement in full. Blank, which one? Special endorsement, sometimes known as an endorsement in full. Name of the transferee holder, the payee of the check can endorse it over to a third party by writing, right? Restrictive endorsement attempt to limit payment. So we can sign it where when we sign it, then can't further do them something there. So once we gone over the next status now, that's how we sign document. Collection endorsement, trust endorsement, qualified endorsement can limit the ability by making a qualified endorsement. The usual qualified endorsement consists of without recourse, meaning you cannot be held liable for anything when they do with the document. Without recourse, you can have a practical impact on a balance sheet because you pass on the obligation to them. But that's the one next something. Seeing? I wanted to do a little bit more reading before we close off on something, and then we can wrap up and talk a little bit. Seeing? I want to show you something. And we never really get fair because of these things. Look at these. This is called Blackstone commentaries, right? And we can briefly, we check up one little something what we get from it. So Google Blackstone commentaries, or what is BLACKSTONE? What is Blackstone COMM commentaries? What is concept of common law, right? Can I look and see what we see? Commentaries on the laws of England was a hugely influential treatise, a case, a body of law on English law that methodologically rendered that massive bodies of statutes and legal decisions called the common law, or a coherent system of legal principles intelligible to lay person, right? If me go down in a and look, him have different topic, but this I deal with strictly natural law, man. When you read that something and see how the system really set, look at the topics, right? This is a topic I really want people read. The part that says, look on the king's prerogative, the right of persons, right? Oh,
I got a lot of reading to do, bro.
Yeah, the right of persons, right? Let me see something. Let me go down there. Hold on. The right of persons. Yeah, there's quite a few reading now. Quite a few.
Don't have a problem with that. Love to read.
A lot of we don't like reading. But so I have another document over there that really highlight some certain parts of it. Bro, this thing here. Let me see something. I know what I'm gonna do. Let me see something 1 second. All right, something there right that's up.
Don't really mean to interrupt, but I would love to get some of these titles because
no,
you know
we send them to all of we know.
Okay.
We send them one. We send them make a list. Okay, look what this says. It says of the parliament. This is the parliamentary section. We are next to treat the rights and duties of persons as they are members of a society and stand in various relations to each other. These relations are either public or private. That's what it is. Is it public or private? And you can't then public and talk about the constitution. You have to go over and private, and then you address the wrongs through the administrative procedure that's on the private side to get over the public, to correct the error. The most universal public relations by which men are connected together is that of the government, namely as governors, and governed, or in other words, as magistrate and people. Of magistrate, some also are supreme, in whom the sovereign power of the state reside. Others are subordinate, deriving all their authority from the supreme magistrate. You get what I'm saying? Accountable to him for their conduct and acting in an inferior secondary sphere. In all tyrannical government, supreme magistracy, or the right of both making and enforcing the laws, is vested in one and the same man, or one and the same body of men, wherever these two powers are united together, there can be no public liberty. If you understand that I said, when the judiciary and the executive team up, that's what happened even in a Donald Trump case. If you understand on a level with the House of Representative and Congress, the judiciary and FEMA branch, which is the executive, them have a thing where you call separation of powers, balance and check. But sometimes too, we gang up on one. 3 branches of government, you know, kings and his title. No one catch a little part where say right to things, right to things, man. Shucks. To travel, right? Look at this document right here. The document is powerful beyond measures. Traffic stop, lawful notice. It is an affidavit of truth. Dear police officer, code enforcement officer, government agent, sheriff. You know, so the sheriff department different from the police. Sheriff are the lawman or the land, the police protect the corporation. The sheriff, if FBI come for your foreign, they have to go through the sheriff to come in our county. The sheriff are deal under common law, but them use the office under the sheriff. What?
No. Me say surprising when you say that.
Okay.
In other words, you think the FBI and the States are like the ultimate. You know what I mean by?
Yeah, man, no, man, ultimate what? Those are agencies of the corporation, bro. The sheriff and the them say the president, the one, the chief, the command, him in charge of the military. But even so be it, the militia. But anyway, sheriff, law enforcement officer, or police officer, please take notice of the affidavit below before you presume contract jurisdiction. Because that him come at the window say no, I wanna uno, one away, and attempt to engage this common law, private, sovereign American. This can't stay for everybody where they are, because the whole over here is America. Into statutory law. We're not dealing with statutory law that is public policy. You see why I take the lesson down, let's break down the chart. That we understand, say, they are trying to convert you in your natural man to statutory law, which is for corporation, i.e. public policy. Remember the chart? On the right side, left side, public law.
On a private.
Yeah, man.
The sovereign American traveler, honorably and passing this knowledge to you, is doing so in an attempt to protect you from yourself. I have a great deal of respect for the public service. You are committed to and understand how difficult it is to seek out and prosecute criminals. However, this document is presented at a traffic stop and therefore is mandatory part of any official record of any ensuing action and must be introduced as prima facie evidence, discover evidence. So meaning this, the police of Jamaica, you know, when this can be the one, when it's a prima facie, the very first piece of document where that tender submit to the court as evidence in said action. So prima facie evidence meaning they find you with a gun or kill somebody. That's the first piece of evidence they more use for putting on the court case. It will be noted that willful suppression of evidence is a felony. Them things come out of common law, you know. And cause of action will result in the lawsuit under Title 18 USC, under title, whatever them title be. This notice has been submitted upon demand of a driver's license, registration, proof of insurance, or any other state issued, any other government issued privilege, permit, or license of which none of these statutes that are for corporations, this sovereign man is liable or contracted to. We are kill the contract because there's a presumption and there's an implied contract. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the unalienable right to travel is a part of the liberty to which the American citizen cannot be deprived without. The Duke cannot be deprived without the due process of law under the Fifth Amendment. Kent versus Duels, a state law. Them things are up on the document, you know. Them can't stop you. Please be informed that this traveler, not driver, you know, is a secured party creditor. First class private American sovereign secured party creditor mean nobody can file a claim bigger than you for anything what them said the straw man have. That is what I did here. No, switch up your thing. Sorry. That's what I did here. All of the document, yeah, this is my secured party document where I set up a trust. Send off the bonds, them go. See it there? Wait there. And I sit there, I go show up on YouTube, and I have to be careful. All right, look at this question here, bro. Look at this questionnaire. When police pull you over, public servant questionnaire. This questionnaire must be filled out by any public service questionnaire before public servant, before he can ask any questions of whatever that name is, trustee / secured party, secured party, the bailor who give the things to the bailee. This questionnaire is not specific to you. This is a general public and procedure of the aforementioned private man with all public servants in any type of public relations. This questionnaire is provided under the federal law, including the Privacy Act. Privacy Act there, Jamaica, as well as the applicable state laws, the laws and there. This is not a failure to cooperate, but rather provisions to establish the capacity in which we are contracting, because they're always making a contract, as well as open and fair dealing under the good faith doctrine that a commercial law, good faith Oxford, clean hands in equity, you come in at the court, clean, you never keep up no fraud. Them keep up some fraud or they not tell you. Not full disclosure, and the fair dealings doctrine. You see everything of commerce. A blank copy of this documentation is also on record with the Secretary of State. So this, let me tell us that the Secretary of State record in New York, seen as a matter of public record under the necessity as a matter to like that. Public servant's full legal name, I've put him name there, so him address, agency, ID, badge number, bonding agency, because they're all bonded. Full legal name of supervisor. Once they start, them document them give them. If you get to me, I say, UCC reservation, all right, that one there, truth, right? And the truth, affidavit of truth, the use of a driver's license. There is no real need for me to have such a license for traveling in a car. However, if I am stopped for any reason and found to be without a license, it is likely I would be unduly harassed and penalized, because once you give them a license, I tell them, say, I feel them subject, you know. Therefore, under duress, I carry a license only to avoid extreme inconvenience. So what you do? State plates on my car. I get your own plate. We know the youth, them will print the ID, them will have the ID, them and something, boy. We don't use for them plate. We print your own or something. When they tell us that the word citizen, a funny word, I am not a United States citizen. I am not a resident of, an inhabitant of, a franchise of, subject of, a ward of, or property of, a chattel of, or subject to the jurisdiction of any monarchy or any corporate, commonwealth, federal, state, territory, country, city, council, municipal body politic, or other government allegedly created under the authority of the United Nations Trusteeship Council. And then there's something I'm going to put in there. I am not subject to any legislation, department, or agency created by such authorities, nor the jurisdiction of any employees, officer, or agents deriving their authority therefrom. Seeing? The document them powerful. See, common law copyright there. Common law copyright. Start up here, so. Every way always spell my name. Common law copyright it, and it then I paper. And if when time I deal with the bank, them and then can't prove and they still send the bill come, I send them a common law copyright and look how much money it say. Don't think I boast me, I boast, but I just show you some process there where work, if people understand the rudiments. It says wherein user is trust and trustee is secured party, and that secured party may file such lien levy against property, because this them thing again, it give the artificial go off of people property. Them always are come off a fear because we don't know no better. So go off of some of them, those corporations, property as a security interest. Nobody can have more security interest in the thing where they create off of your thing. It's like then take some of your board and go build a house. Where then get the board from if then thief it? Then have to come out of the house and get the house. Make your rent out it.
On the whole house.
All right. So on all the users' assets, land and personal property, and all users' interest in assets, land and personal property in the sum certain amount of 500,000 per breach per each occurrence of use of the common law copyrighted trade name. You understand me? So them something there. This are the bond we post up with the Secretary of Treasury down in Puerto Rico, and but I trust you create and in Washington DC. Seeing, look your fee schedule. Seeing, It tell you right here, like unlawful arrest, illegal arrest, detain, restrain or detain or trespassing or trespass without lawful, correct, or complete Fourth Amendment warrant, $2 million. So it's like you put them thing out there on public record. You follow me, I say? Because that's how you make your declaration. And if I tell you as the officer that, hey, I am not entitled, I refuse to contract, right? I have a right to be left alone, and then decide, hey, them are going to lock you up. They are acting on their own authority. Have me fee schedule, them call it. So then can compel you to do nothing, so you have no property. So the aim is to get there by issuing document. One of the first one we want to do is the affidavit of identity with the